Hey everybody. We are here in Alaska with Geoff, and I've got a bear bell today instead of a cowbell just to celebrate being in Alaska. And welcome, Geoff.
Howdy.
And you will not believe how stressed out I've been over the last hour. We were really on time and ready to go, and then I got a call saying that a big glacial lake had, I mean, you know more about it than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It happens, it seems like sometime every summer, a lake up on the upper part of the glacier bursts and all the water releases and comes down into the lower lake under the glacier. And unfortunately for JB, that's right where he was camping. So.
And this is actually a picture. I was up on Mount McGinnis here the other day, and you can see kind of just on the other side of the glacier, there's a waterfall that comes down and it gets in that back valley back there. And then eventually it rushes down and fills up this lake, which we're camped right by, and the water went up like 15 feet, and it's supposed to go up more, and I don't know, we had to evacuate. So anyway, nonetheless, I've been stressed trying to move my camper, and luckily Geoff came and helped us out. So I hope technically this is all going well, because I had very little time to test this, so I hope everyone can hear me. All right, so Geoff, tell us what you've been up to, man.
Gosh, living in Alaska. I bought a house here last summer, and so I've been kind of settling into a more year-round permanent life here in Juneau. My wife Corley and I did 4 years back and forth between Colorado and here, and now we're back here full-time, and still got my running camps that I've been doing for, gosh, this summer's the 6th summer I've been doing running camps, and just running in the mountains when I'm feeling up to it, and taking it easy when my body asks me to take it easy. Living the Alaskan dream, I guess.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. We showed up here on, I guess it was last Wednesday, and first thing we did was went and barbecued out on the beach with Geoff and all of his friends, and then next day we did a screening of some of my movies that Geoff had put together, and then the next day after that, you had a big kind of just like badass sort of run, go out and pick your way through the mountains. But it was a pretty tough course, and the weather came in, and I think only one person finished the long route.
Yeah, there were two did the full intended route, but it's something I've done 2 years now. It's really low-key, fat-ass, about as unofficial as an event can be. You get 30 or 40 people together and go run in the mountains to kind of celebrate mountain running in the Juneau area. But yeah, we unfortunately didn't have very good weather this time around, and we got up in the clouds and wandered around a bit and stayed mostly on course. But yeah, with the navigation challenge of being up in the clouds in the mountains here is pretty high, so most people decided to cut it short and kind of come down early. But it seems like everyone's already excited for next summer for that event. So
yeah. So we're going to actually have a Q&A with Geoff after we've got a few things for you today. We have an early preview of a new film that I've been working on, and I don't really have a title for it, though I came up with one right before the evacuation of the campground, so you'll see that. But if you think of something better, let me know. And it's still a little raw. We are probably still a month or two out from totally finishing it, but it's in a state right now where you'll get the gist of it, and I hope that it's enjoyable, and if you can forgive the few little title place card holders for some missing content, some other things. I think it's still enjoyable at this point. And yeah, you run with Drymax, and they're a pretty solid company, and Bob's just really supportive.
Yeah, they've been great with me ever since I've worked with them, and I mean, anybody that's used their socks knows they're pretty awesome product. So
yeah, and you know, I do actually advertising, you know, as part of my career. You know, obviously the ultra films don't totally pay the bills, but you know, I think a lot of times advertisements are kind of a little, I don't know, forced, and I just really felt like there was a lot behind this whole experience. There's, you know, just these runners that are putting in so many hours. There's Luis, who's just an artist. You know, Drymax, who is just always been there on the low level of the sport, just right down in the trenches with the runners. And I just, rather than just show just a really beautiful piece, we wanted to like show everything that goes into this. And it's actually ended up being a really fun little road trip, and hopefully you get to know Rory Bosio and Zach Bitter and Benna and Luis a little better after this film, and we'd like your feedback. If you want to email us or Facebook us, we'd appreciate that, as we're kind of putting the finishing touches on it. And then after this is about a 45-minute film, so sit back, get some popcorn, enjoy. And then after this, we do have a little 2 or 3 minute, maybe 5-minute recap of Western States, and then we'll just do like a Q&A with Geoff, just kind of whatever you guys want to ask. You know, it's been a while since he's been racing, and it's just good to kind of catch up with him and see kind of where his running's turned in the last few years. So and it's always just such a good group of people up here. We've really enjoyed our time. So anyway, I guess with no further ado, we will start the film, and please let us know if there's any technical problems. We're doing the best we can. We're actually in the Mendenhall Library, and I think we already mentioned they have Ultra Running Magazine here, which is pretty impressive for a library. So, all right, well, let's get it going. And I'm actually showing it right out of the edit system here, so you guys get like.
I guess what people wouldn't know is the amount of time and effort that goes into creating an image. You see a beautiful photograph and you just, I guess, assume that the photographer just walked up and pointed the camera, but really every image, it's a whole culmination. It's a lifetime of experiences going into one moment. So the behind the scenes stuff that people probably don't see or appreciate is exactly how much work and effort it takes to get yourself into a place, to get yourself in the correct lighting and the correct composition. That's probably the one thing people wouldn't really recognize when they see a photograph. You just see a pretty picture and think, beautiful photograph. There's more to it.
I really am a storyteller, and I just know that Drymax is such a small, unique company, really passionate people. I actually proposed that we show kind of what goes into making something like this, and just show the unique characters of both the runners, the photographer, the video crew, and just Drymax itself, because I think a lot of times that's lost.
Drymax has given us kind of just this like gift of a weekend, like carte blanche, kind of just go do what you want to do and bring a camera along with it to document it.
This is a unique assignment in that the folks from Drymax are not here. This is really something else, that they're trusting us, supporting us and trusting us to come all the way here. Another great aspect of this trip is going to be the idea of spending some time together, traveling together.
Put a bunch of strangers in an RV and start shaking it up, see what comes out.
You don't know for sure what someone's going to be like until you meet them.
It's a big assignment, and a lot of effort is going into this on their part. And so my goal is to make sure that when I leave here, I have all of the imagery that they need. I want to create images that they're going to be proud of, that they're going to be proud to present to their customers.
His idea for the campaign was just to get as many environments as possible. You know, he wanted desert, he wanted mountains, he wanted lakes, he wanted cityscape, he wanted kind of everything that we could get, and we had to do it in 2 days. And Luis was like, there's no way that's going to happen.
So we decided to shoot everything within 50 miles of the Reno area.
Of course, I've heard of Rory and Zach and Jennifer Benna as well, but I've never actually met them. I mean, I've met Jennifer before, of course, and they're pretty impressive athletes.
Rory, obviously, a pretty spectacular resume with UTMB and at Western States.
I have known of Zach for a while because he's just, you know, a rock star, phenomenal runner, but I've never had the chance to meet him in person.
Jen obviously is out on the trails racing and running and stuff a lot too.
Course record at Zion, impressive. Like, she's just an impressive runner who's just like so low key about it.
JB was asked to bring a camera crew along and capture what happens on a photo shoot, because there's so much more that happens that anyone would ever even realize.
We got up very early, and I think it was like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
That didn't give me a chance to put my makeup on.
I haven't been to any of these places, so that makes it even better. The biggest challenge is finding enough time in the day to do all the work that you want to do. Good morning.
Morning. Did you sleep in the chateau last night?
I slept in the chateau like a rock.
I bet you did.
Short but quality.
Hot coffee?
What do you do?
I'm a nurse. Yeah. You're in pediatrics, right?
I do PJC, like intensive care.
Oh my God. Yeah, I really like it.
We got a very early start on Saturday morning. We drove out to Sand Mountain, which was a really cool way to start out the trip.
It's Costco muffins.
So there it is. There's the Sand Mountain.
It is such a unique and different place out there. You're in the desert, and then there's just this giant mound of sand.
Sand dunes surrounded by high mountains, snow-covered peaks, and salt flats below. So it was just visually, it's just a stunning place. Well, I think, you know, this is going to be a spot to do some big, wide landscapes, and just take advantage of this early morning light and this incredible features here.
Presents. Yeah. Christmas a little early this year. Courtesy of Bob. Kinds of stuff.
Some lime green ones.
Yeah, the green ones are good. And those cold weather running ones look pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be wearing those this winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I like to do, photograph runners in cool places. Freezing out here. Go!
I think my favorite thing was just bombing down the hill and on this like kind of soft, cushy sand, pretty steep, and you can just let it fly. And it was just like getting your legs moving that fast and having, it just was the most fun feeling in the world.
job and literally get sand kicked in my face. Tell people, yeah, I got sand kicked in my face by Rory Bosio. So I shot her. So I'm just taking a quick glance. So as quick as I can, I like to get the stuff out of the camera, off of a card, onto a hard drive, and just get it in a couple of places just in case something happens. And then it's just kind of cool to glance and see what we've got going on, and it's looking great.
The one thing about Sand Mountain is there's a lot of sand, which is difficult for really big vehicles to drive in, which Luis found out the hard way.
Yeah, not cool, man. I don't know, I should have used my head.
Luckily, there were some very nice people also recreating at Sand Mountain who got out their big monster truck and gave them a little tug.
Should pop right out of that hole. All right.
Good thing we got Zoom.
Now watch your heads, boys.
That could have been a disaster if you were out there without help, so those people were very, very friendly. It was fun to go out and do a few miles on this like really cool road in the middle of the desert. It's like almost one of those picturesque, you know, you see that like Forrest Gump, like wide opening shot, road just going straight down, like huge vistas in the background.
Yeah, I think you should look like road runners now.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right, let's switch. Nice legs on this girl. Looks good. Yep.
The drones, they are awesome. Like the aerial shots they get, I think, are just amazing, and the way it looks so smooth. But the first day we were filming and we're running down the road, and Luis is like, yeah, why don't you get pretty close to it? Get pretty close to it. I got nearly buzzed, but like if I had a beard, it would have been like, like, luckily I didn't, you know, I got a little too close. That was my own fault. I just sometimes you know, I was so into the moment of running, I didn't realize that a drone was heading right for my face.
And then just come at me hard, right on the yellow line, right on the yellow line.
Okay. It's cool to run with Zach on the pavement, and especially because, you know, he's wicked fast.
Zach ran 100 miles. His PR is 11:47, I think. 11 hours and 47 minutes to run 100 miles. Who does that? Zach Bitter does that.
Living in Wisconsin, I did a lot of road running and a lot of training on the roads, so I feel like the amount of miles I put in training on roads probably improved my ability in those departments. You know, when you're running on the trails or you're running in the mountains, there's a little bit more of a desire to be there, as opposed to on the roads where you seem to kind of be there for a purpose, and that's kind of to go fast or to compete or something like that. So for me, I think those are the big differences.
I had never met Zach before. I had heard, like, I think he kind of burst onto the ultra scene.
I've always been a runner, I guess. I got into it pretty early in middle school and competed in cross country and track and field in high school and college. And I would say, like, when I switched to ultra marathon running, I mean, it was a big life change because it was like one of the biggest things that I've done where you're experiencing the unknown.
Nothing to me screams like I am the world's like best runner at this type of thing. He's just kind of like, you know what, I'm chilling, I'm doing my thing.
Before moving out to California, I was a teacher, and I quit that job so I could pursue more things around coaching, running. You know, I didn't stop teaching because I disliked it, so it was tough to pull away from a job I really did enjoy, but just didn't really have time for, and I had to kind of prioritize it. You know, it's a passion of mine, so I don't mind making sacrifices to train and race. Still, like, kind of staying in touch with reality too, in terms of you know, other parts of life outside of running.
That was good stuff.
stopped at a petroglyph, a little petroglyph site, which I love petroglyphs. Petroglyphs, for anybody who doesn't know, are, you know, old carvings done by the Native Americans on rocks, things like that. They were carved by the cattail people. What did this mean? Symbols, maybe they're gods or something. Exactly.
Ancient trail
First
maps.
trail map.
Maybe it's never been discovered until today.
Yeah. Then we headed out to Lahontan Lake, which I think I have been to as a child, but it all looked new to me.
You know, bright blue sky with these incredible white clouds, and then this lake was just completely placid, mirror type of a lake. Yeah, how about you with this blue? And you know, just take that same line that Rory was just doing. Before you ride, kind of aggressively making a left arcing. And then here. No, gotta jump across this little gully. This is a little slippier than it looks. I'm gonna get the sky, and you go flying across the sky. Okay, I'm ready for somebody.
It was just like glass. It was a mirror. I mean, it was beautiful. It was like one of the more beautiful afternoons of running I've had in a while.
We had the runners running back and forth right along the edge of the water and splashing in the water. Just some really strong imagery there.
How'd that look?
Crazy.
I usually like to run with my feet wet, so I loved getting my feet wet. That was really fun.
That one didn't work. I was ending up on the like.
And a lot of times people just see these athletes completing a race and you congratulate them and then move on without really appreciating the amount of effort and work that goes into getting to that point.
Anytime you're racing something, there's countless hours and miles put into the training and the preparation for that.
And it's the same thing with equipment. It's easy to overlook sometimes our clothing, and in particular socks, but it's a key component to success.
I think the whole idea of something kind of being a little bit underrated or undervalued was kind of the impetus of this project, and it's just a small company, but they really love what they're doing. Sometimes just the over-commercialized aspect of general advertising just doesn't do justice to the real soul that these people have behind the work they're doing.
First ultramarathon I did, you know, my toes were wrecked, I had blisters, and you know, everything you hear all the horror stories. And then I started using Drymax socks pretty quick after that, and really have been able to minimize or eliminate a lot of that foot damage that seems to kind of wear down on you over the course of a really long race.
A sock seems really basic, right? Like, no, just throw on a pair of cotton socks. But I was actually like looking at the Drymax socks, and there's a lot of technology and innovation that goes into designing a pair of socks. My feet are living in Drymax socks. They make me happy.
Behind the scenes, putting in countless hours, like asking questions, getting things dialed in perfectly so that so athletes and runners in general can have the best equipment imaginable when they're out there enjoying nature.
tunage.
We were kind of driving along, running out of time before sunset, and as the sun is setting, find this like awesome little spot kind of in Podunkville.
I think the place was Silver Spring, Nevada, and we did some work on some old abandoned railroad as the sun was setting, and we had them running into the sunset. It was like America the Beautiful. It was really a great scene.
Okay. How about you guys go like 20 yards that way and then just one at a time come by. What do you think, JB? We're still liking this spot? Yeah, I mean, we're here or nowhere. All right, so just one at a time.
It turned out to be one of the more epically beautiful sunsets. I mean, the colors in the sky were pretty phenomenal, and they changed. It was a really dramatic.
All right.
Look at the pink over there.
Ooh! Oh, wow.
What I like about running is you can kind of just like zone out sometimes, you know, even if it's technical, but I mean, this was like, you really had to be coordinated and timing had to be right when you're running on the platforms. And Zach was definitely very good at that.
One day in the books.
One day in the book. Pretty fun. We got to see a lot today.
Sun up to sundown.
What do you guys think of working with Luis so far?
It's not like work. It's like fun.
Yeah. It's like getting paid for vacation.
Yeah. Wait, we get paid for this? Cocktails tonight.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there
We're
still.
pretty much done, at least with the running for the day, which, by the way, Zach clocked, I think, 15 miles of running. We were like, yes, there's a little bit of training happening.
Oh, no, I have that first.
I mean, I really think about the socks, actually.
I do too.
So I'm like, okay, what's the weather gonna be?
How high do I want the ankle?
Yeah, where's it gonna hit on my ankle?
Where's it gonna hit on my ankle?
Am I gonna
How
change?
thick do I want?
Yep.
Yeah. Do I have to have it really? Because usually if I can get away with a thinner sock, I like a thinner sock.
Totally. And I almost never change socks anymore. I just leave the whole setup and just go.
Yeah.
And that works out pretty good.
Let's not let him do a
JB and
better
I
look.
rode our bikes from Oregon to Mexico.
Oh, you did? You
Our
guys
adventure-
just like, we're just gonna go for it.
Yeah, we're like, we need to have an
Oh.
adventure before we have kids, and I was like, I only have like 3 weeks off. Like, what can we do? Well, what's funny about that trip is, and I didn't know it, but midway through, I was pregnant. And I kept falling on the bike.
You're like, what is going on?
I could, and then I get home, and a couple weeks go by, and I was like, oh
Duh.
oh my God!
You're like,
So I
explains
did all the
everything.
math.
Jen, I love Jen. Major girl crush on Jen. She's so cute. Sometimes I look at some of these women, I'm like, how do you do it all? I can barely take care of myself and a dog, and you've got like this amazing family. It's like, you have it all together.
I've been a professional in the medical field for over 12 years now, ultra running for about 10 years, and a mom for 5.5 years.
Jen has her husband JB, who's the filmmaker for this project, and they also have young children too, who weren't with us for the weekend, but very much on her mind, I'm sure.
She's just like so mellow and relaxed and just like fun to be around. I feel like there are too few women in endurance sports.
It's been a wonderful photograph. And she's able to communicate that when she's out running on the trail.
Good job, baby.
Well, that is participating in a sport that I know is as demanding as it can be, also juggle many other aspects of real life.
Course record at Zion, impressive. Like, she's just an impressive runner who's just like so low key about it. Like, it's no big deal. Like, I just go out and like slay 100 miles, nursing my baby along the way. I mean, women like her are phenomenal, and I find it so inspiring.
And just 5 or so years after she started landing on podiums and winning races. And just a few months after giving birth to our second child, Asher, she ran and won the American River 50 miler. Just blows my mind.
and I've had to make a lot of sacrifices. Even with my training and racing, I think it's all really important to me, but some things take a hit, you know, and so this project kind of illuminated how we all juggle things, and everyone's shuffling stuff, you know, to try to be their best.
After we worked on the old abandoned railroad track, we went into Virginia City, which was something else.
It's like an old western town.
Yeah, oh it is. It's an old western town.
Wait.
Oh, it's happening at the Bucket of Blood. I'm sorry.
And we went into this great saloon, the Bucket of Blood Saloon.
What a name, right? And walk in, and it's like the whole town of Virginia City's in there from like the 1860s.
I don't even know if they were costumes. Maybe that's how they dressed. There was, you know, cowboys, there was a marshal, there was a couple of outlaws.
And we looked so out of place. We looked like, except for Luis. Luis just traveled with a cowboy hat. He fit right in.
I'm glad I had my cowboy hat on there.
30 minutes from our house.
Yeah, if someone offers to buy you a drink, do not upgrade your liquor preference. I totally do that.
Oh, every time I'm like,
I'll make that a top shelf then, please.
And it was great. We had a whiskey there.
I think someone needs a garter.
And then we went down the street to, we had dinner together in this beautiful old haunted hotel. I guess it's haunted.
We ate somewhere that Mark Twain used to go, which I love all that old history. It's just, it's so fascinating and cool, and the food was so good.
It's already drinking at the...
So what does happen in Virginia City? What do you guys do here?
This is it on top. Exactly.
Why am I not here? Why am I not the mayor?
That's the best way to like cap off the end of a long day. It's a good meal, dessert, hanging out with friends. It was just, the first day was really, really fun.
To blister-free dry feet.
Blister-free dry feet. A fantastic day.
And friends forever.
I love it.
Yay.
Cheers.
Sunburns and perfect feet.
Exactly.
Cheers.
You know, it had been a long day, a couple glasses of wine. We're driving back to Reno in the RV, which I loved the spirit. And it's just so cozy in there. I fell asleep, and Jen fell asleep apparently on a bagel pillow.
Good night. See you guys in the morning. 5:45.
5:30 in the morning. We're going to leave at 5:40. We're leaving at 5:45.
Day 2, wake up, get in the RV, all nice and toasty, head out, not too far of a drive, to Windy Hill in Reno.
Oh, it's nice out.
Yesterday was a great day. We got so much nice imagery.
Good.
I was able to look through quite a bit of it last night. It looks great. Reno to me has always been just a big city that we just kind of pass when we're, you know, coming through. And I'll tell you what, it is beautiful here. It's spectacular. I've never seen so many mountains and high deserts. It's incredible.
Day 2. Sunrise.
Awesome little lookout spot. Beautiful sunrise.
It was a pretty cool little spot right outside the city with some real smooth kind of like buffed out trail, stuff that we got some shots on.
Kind of running up and down these rock formations that are just right at the edge of this park, really, and it was pretty fun.
You're overlooking the city, really pretty city views, beautiful fall colors, and you really get such a nice, you know, like 180-degree view of the city that you can really appreciate all the changing colors. And I love when it kind of just looks like that like mosaic of changing colors. The leaves are really, really pretty.
We did a lot of drone work there.
My New Year's resolution and a good resolution for life is pick up 10 pieces of trash a day. And then add a challenge for all my sins.
Rory trains so hard to show up ready to go run in the mountains and doesn't probably talk about her training all that much. I mean, she's super humble and works really hard to be in the best shape to go run a course like UTMB.
Rory, I think she's won UTMB a couple of times, right? And you're hanging out with her and run alongside of her. She just seems like a normal person, but she's something special.
She's got some of the most impressive wins out of anyone in the world, really.
Sometimes it can get very easy, especially when you're at the competitive level that she's at, to kind of have that fun, like, I do this for the love of it attitude kind of drift off and it become more of a chore, or like I have to improve, I have to beat this person. And you just don't see any of that from her. She's definitely kind of, seems like she's doing the same thing she would have done before anyone knew who she was as a mountain runner.
She's super accomplished. She's a pediatric nurse too, which a lot of people may or may not know. I have a lot of respect for that. She's actually really witty and has a lot of funny facts.
So, you know, it's rare that you ever see a walrus in Nevada, but every once in a while.
Jeez.
Oh!
Well, that's skill right there.
She's fun to hang with and she's just solid. I mean, Rory will put down a hard day of working and can just keep going and going.
I think it looks awesome. Here we are. It's an incredible morning. Beautiful light, great trail, perfect models. We're in good shape.
Talk type of thing.
Totally.
Would you guys stand right here in this area and all three of you and just stand close together? And you're just chatting and you just happen to...
Hey guys.
We're freezing and we're trying to like feed up each other's body heat.
We did have a little bit of a change of plans.
I distinctly remember a lot of just discussion and dialogue going along, like, well, should we scrap this, or maybe we should do this instead.
JB's constantly working with Luis to make the best location decisions.
Yeah, so I don't know what you want to do, or what are you looking for?
Let's find some trails or roads with that lead to big, dramatic, snowy mountain. He had asked, Bob had asked specifically for some close-ups.
You might not find
those.
aspens, but there's some foliage for sure. Like paved road. It'll be paved road though. Paved road, full foliage, probably on either side, looking towards the mountains probably.
Let's start now with, well, there's
just go.
still some angled light. Maybe something with the mountains in the background.
Okay.
That day was very on the fly, and luckily JB kind of knew where to go, so we headed out towards Gardnerville. As we made our way south, we knew we were kind of headed towards the bigger peaks right in the Reno area, and you know, that's like quintessential Nevada.
That was a cool spot, and you know, for me coming from a road running background, I really liked that spot because it was the environment I'm used to running on, or I'm most fond running on.
Oh, exciting. Wonderful, beautiful. I'm used to photographing on the beach or photographing in vineyards, which is cool. But this is remarkable, isn't it? It's exciting for me to be here. And just point it at her heels.
Okay.
And it's gonna flash.
That's all I have to do. I don't have to press a button. Just point at her heels. Oh, it's a flash.
Jen, on the count of three, you take a couple strides that way. Ready, set? 1, 2, 3. Okay, come back.
You're on this like man-made surface or this really, really clean trail, but then in the background you see this incredible landscape of mountains. When you're getting photographed for those things, you don't necessarily see the wheels turning in the head of someone like Luis or JB. But then afterwards, when you see everything come together, you get a better idea of like, oh, so that's what he was thinking when he sent me down that trail, or that's why he had me, you know, over there and not in this spot instead. It feels a little awkward at the time because you don't necessarily know the angle that is being captured, but you just know that, like, you know, no matter how kind of awkward I feel doing this right now, it's gonna end up looking pretty cool when they get done with it.
And the coolest part of Valley is you really get the drastic change of altitude from the valley to the peak, because you're looking at just farmland. Cows are grazing and you look up and it's just like a serious peak is right above you.
That's it.
Status is goodness all around. Scenery like this, it's photography never really does it justice.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do, folks. I don't know what we're gonna do. What are we gonna do?
It's always fun to work with your spouse, and it's always challenging as well, because, well, it's kind of like having your husband pace you or something during a 100-mile run. Like, you could break down to them because they know you better than anybody. So I had to maintain that level of professionalism with him, just like I would with any other photographer or filmmaker.
And it's been wonderful working with JB and his crew. It's been great watching him work. And I was most excited about that coming into this job, is the opportunity to spend some time with JB. And it's been fun watching him work. I think we've been enjoying watching each other and maybe learning a little bit from each other.
Really a treat getting to meet Luis. He is a character. I love people with like big personalities, and he's definitely got a big personality.
He's just been part of ultra running. He's like the core of ultra running. I mean, he gets the sport. He does things that matter to him. He's the most authentic person. And he doesn't really care what you think about that.
So I've been running and racing a long time. It's important to me. I've run a lot. Probably an embarrassing amount of miles, really.
A lot of people think of him just as a photographer, but he is a very accomplished runner. I mean, he's done some of the most iconic, classic ultras all across the world, really.
Luis is just, he gets down and dirty, and it seems like he'll really go to kind of like any length to get a good shot.
You can tell that he enjoys what he's doing, and just him kind of rolling up in his RV and just kind of staying in there. You could tell he was very familiar with that type of lifestyle and very comfortable in it and enjoyed it and knew what he was doing and had done it before.
It's cool to work with a photographer, and same thing with JB, with people who do the sport and then are documenting the sport too. I think the point of the view they have is really in depth, and the way they look at things, it's the knowledge and the expertise they bring to their craft, because they also do the sport, is great.
Realized we were starving, and so we went right across the valley to Juneau.
Very quaint town. I mean, it feels like it's just been picked up from the 1860s and plopped into modern day.
Found the Nevada's very first, what they call thirst parlor.
This is Nevada's oldest saloon parlor.
Nevada's oldest thirst parlor.
It was this great saloon that you could just imagine back in the day.
It reminded me a little bit of Virginia City in the sense that it had a very, very deep history, where they had buildings and architecture intact that had been there for over 100 years.
This is what I love, is this wasn't planned, this wasn't on the itinerary to go here, but I thought it ended up being the highlight of the trip for me.
$500 reward for the arrest and conviction of Jesse James.
What's really cool is at the base of Juneau is some seriously amazing single track, just awesome trails that kind of get you up onto the Tahoe Rim Trail, so they had to hold us back from trying to just take a run.
I was really stressing out. I could not find crew. Apparently they were out running and doing some shots, and we still had to go get these very important snow shots.
And by this point in the day, the sun is going down, it's getting pretty dark.
I kind of looked at our watch and went, oh man, we have to jam.
We're gonna miss the snow shot.
Huh?
Did you not get my text like 15 minutes ago?
I never got your text.
No, I texted you and I said, let's go.
We're in winter, so you have no sunlight really past 4:30, and we have some driving to do.
We're going to head over the mountains this evening and do some work around Lake Tahoe.
Yeah, we're getting some good snow now.
I just recently moved to California from Wisconsin, and we were very familiar with snow in Wisconsin. That was the first time I'd been out west and seen snow.
It was getting darker and darker, and I was getting more and more stressed.
The lake, it looks like an ocean. I mean, you could not see across the lake.
Instead of this like incredibly picturesque blue lake with incredible mountain background, you kind of get this gray, overcast, gloomy, like almost scary looking lake.
You can't even see the other side of the lake.
There's white caps.
Just like these dark, ominous clouds. And pull off Tahoe Meadows.
Then it really started snowing.
Yeah! This is awesome. I don't know if we're gonna get any photographs out of this, but it sure is cool. See what we can do here.
I didn't expect this, but okay.
What do you think about this? We ordered this up for you.
This is pretty wicked.
So we're thinking maybe it was a little too much, and were we actually even going to get the shot? And it was looking actually a little darker than I think any of the photographers really wanted.
Do you want the socks over the leggings so that you, or
I think we want to definitely
show them off? Like pop them out a little bit?
Rory's putting on like layers, I'm putting on layers. People are looking for gloves.
It is blustery. It's full on winter storm. The snow's blowing, it's windy, it is butt-ass cold.
All right. Now we got to get these shots, kind of like having a mind's eye open for, I got to get the shot, I've got to make sure I don't break my camera. In a way that's going to look good and look right in an environment that often makes it very difficult to do that.
This is no Santa Barbara.
Oh, this is like Bernard.
I do have to say, my toes are toasty. Oh,
yeah.
I have no issues right
Pretty
now.
toasty.
These will also be my ski socks.
Oh no, I'm gonna
Yeah.
ski in these for sure.
Ski socks running.
Yeah.
Love these socks.
Turn so I can see the logo, please.
I think it's the warmest part of me right now.
Put your feet together, buddy. Feet together. Put your feet together. Zach.
Oh. Then where does it go from there?
Can I sing a Christmas carol?
Oh, you're good. I don't know the rest of it. Listen.
So, Zach, switch with Jen.
Yeah, you're right. That's what goes. The
Switch with Jen.
Switch with Jen. Jen, step out and Zach's gonna step in.
In the snow.
Luis is laying on just so much snow.
I am breathing my balls off. Okay, next.
I think that was our most challenging location by far. Just, it was so fast, there was so much snow. You can see the photographers working super hard and falling and laying in the snow.
I remember one shot we run through this snowy kind of wooded area.
And we're like chasing each other like through the woods. Like as you would as kids, it almost felt like capture the flag style to me.
I think we're good. I think we got everything we need. I think it's absolutely a wrap, and this whole thing is just gonna knock your socks right off. I guarantee it.
And then we get back in the RV and it's like all cozy in the RV, and I was pretty tired. I like to play hard and then sleep hard.
As ultra runners, you just kind of want to always finish what you start, and so we felt like it would be really I don't know, poignant to go to like a pretty historic place, which is where the Western States 100 starts in Squaw Valley.
It was really cool to see Squaw Valley in a state of where it's somewhat known for, more I guess than what I knew it for, being the winter skiing environment where it's cold, wet, where I'm used to seeing it during the summer.
After we were searching in the dark for the Western States 100 plaque, which is ultra running's most well-known race, and found it and paid our respects to why we were all there to begin with.
All of us have memories from Squaw, and Western States, I know for all of us, is like super important in our lives.
I've been fortunate to photograph a lot of elite distance runners, and you know, they're all kind of the same. They're always very cool people, humble people that just enjoy doing what they do. And these three this weekend are just remarkable.
It was great to get to know, like, meet everybody, make friends, like plan future trips.
We got to spend so much time with one another, and at the end of the day, it's like you really trust these people and you'd work with them again in a second, and you really hope that you could work with them again.
I think the most unique thing to me is, like, if you look at the photography or the videos that were shot, you'd think that we had been traveling around the country, if not even the world. But in reality, we were just in a really small area around Reno. I think the behind-the-scenes aspect of whether you're training for an event or trying to get a video or a photo gallery put in place is really intriguing, because you're not guaranteed success.
With the gear, it parallels so much what we do as athletes, which is, you know, really trusting our bodies, and I think we all want to like believe in what we're using, and that's why we use it.
I know what it takes to put in a lot of work and then have I guess a less than ideal result turn out. And I know what it feels like to put in all the work and then have everything happen perfectly.
I learned how important it is to have a community around you, and to enjoy your art and your passion for what it is, and to just try to stay in the moment, because that's all you can do. And I think I learned to take just kind of what comes to me and be okay with that.
It was just really cool to have such a good time with all of the runners and Luis and my crew, and all that just boiled down to one simple video. Enjoy.
do again?
The music bank.
Okay, but when you edit this, don't make it sound like I'm like bragging about myself.
The music bank.
All right, that was it. Wow, a lot of little hiccups there on the speed, but hey, we're live, so that happens.
Looked good to me.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed it, Jeff. That was your first time watching it. Did you know Rory, or do you know Rory or Zach or?
I've never met Zach. I've met Rory really briefly, and but yeah, I think you did a good job with kind of piecing together the little bit of the story of the individuals, but you know, the focus on what it is to do a photo shoot. I've done a handful like that myself, and I think you captured it really well.
Cool. Yeah, and I hope it didn't come off as like too overly commercial. I mean, I did want to kind of, you know, the sock is, you know, obviously the impetus, but really it's just kind of like, I mean, if you look at that last 2 minutes that I showed, you know, that was what was presented to the public, and if you just looked at that, you really wouldn't have all that kind of reference that I think that the film shows. So hopefully that came off as authentic as possible. Because, you know, this is just a project that I wanted to make. It wasn't completely, you know, funded by Drymax. I just thought it was kind of interesting, and I love all the runners and Luis and everybody. So, but anyway, we are going to, I guess, go ahead and get your questions ready for Jeff, and then while we're just going to do a quick little recap of this year's Western States, and it's my first time in 12 years that I wasn't actually at Western. I was up here in Juneau enjoying. Actually, what were we doing? Saturday. I was on.
I don't remember the days of all blending.
I don't know. Anyway, I think it was the day of your race. No, your race was the day before that.
It was Friday. Yeah, I don't remember what we did Saturday.
Anyway, it's probably running on some awesome mountain trail, and yeah. So, but you know, we did have one camera guy there, Cameron, who I'm like super grateful for. Sorry. Little technical deal there. We did have one guy there, Cameron, and he shot it all by himself, and he actually edited a little piece. So not as many cameras as we usually have in the past, and I think he did a really good job considering that he was all by himself, driving all over the place and trying to run back and forth and catch all the different runners coming through. And as you know, there's been a lot of you know, talk and chatter, you know, about Jim Walmsley and Andrew Miller and Casey Lichtag, and it's just you know, there's a lot of people out there, but it's just kind of fun to just see how the day unfolded and just get in the spirit of the race. And you haven't been back since 2011, so
yeah, it's been 5 years ago now.
Yeah,
time flies.
Well, maybe this will bring back some memories, and we'll ask you some questions. But yeah, if you have any questions, just go ahead and get them ready, and we'll ask Jeff as soon as we come back. So here is 2016 Western States. Click on the right video here.
What a motley crew.
17 minutes ahead of course record pace.
Please smoke. Here comes Jim Walmsley, folks, 26 years old, Flagstaff, Arizona. Good job, Jim. I've never seen anybody come in before 2 o'clock, and so in fact 2:18 was the record. Now the record's 1:49. Sage Canada, number 2 runner into the aid station here today.
We have a verified report that our leader, Jim Walmsley, missed the turn from the quarry road and told he's now back on course. But that stretch that he did is about 2 miles each way.
This is number 1. Olympia's 29 kilometers.
All right, so that was, whoa, feedback. Ah, yes, I remember this button. There we go. Yeah, so that was a recap of Western States 2016, and yeah, just some really impressive performances. Casey, like, just blows my mind. Third fastest time ever, just went out and, like, just led it wire to wire, and super humble, just amazing. Really impressed with her performance. And Andrew, just so young. I mean, gosh, I just look at him. I remember when I was that young, I was not even close to thinking about running, let alone winning Western States. So it's amazing. And yeah, Jim Walmsley too. I mean, I feel, my heart goes out to him. I heard some pre-race things with him, just saying, you know, that he was going to go out hard and try to beat the course record. And a lot of times when people say that, you know, you're kind of like, you know, I don't know about that, but he seemed pretty authentic about it and pretty humble about it, and then he just went and started executing. But, you know, this is trail running, so.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he showed that he's got the potential to do it, obviously, but it also really showed how much 100 miles is unpredictable, and no matter what position you put yourself in, it's hard to finish it out, and you know, it was really unfortunate to see what happened to him, but it's certainly not unheard of or even all that uncommon. I mean, people get off course a lot in a race that long, and your mind and body are so thrashed trying to run that section of course totally fresh. You'd nail it exactly where you were supposed to go 100 times out of 100, but doing it at mile 90 of a 100-mile race, it's I have gone off course myself in 3 or 4 different races, and it's something that's easy to do. So.
And you were just saying that you got lost, and actually Jen got lost too at Way Too Cool in that exact same area.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know exactly where Jim went off, but it very well could have been the same spot. I ran off course there and dropped all the way down by the river, and before I figured it out.
Did you end up still winning that, or did
no,
you?
I ended up third, I believe, third or fourth. Yeah,
but you were pretty. Yeah, you were pretty
far.
far
Off course. Yeah,
I remember hearing that story too. It's always a little heartbreaking, but you know, that's how ultra running is. You know, if someone isn't dropping out or getting lost or bonking, you know, that's why, you know, we're always telling people. Let's see, our internet's still working here. Just got a warning from the library that our internet was about to expire. Hopefully it didn't disconnect. But you know, that's the thing with ultra running. I always tell Jen, I was like, you know, 8 of the 10 people that are predicting to, you know, do really well will have some sort of issue. So if you just stick with it, you're going to move up, you know, the ranks.
And you've got to learn to be able to just move on as quickly as possible from if you have something like that happen, whether it's not just on that particular day, but going forward in the weeks and months to follow. I mean, I remember I was pretty new to the sport when I got off course at Way Too Cool that we were just talking about, and I felt really devastated by it, and it took me definitely a few weeks to just kind of let it go. And later on in my racing career, I think I got to a point where it was easier for me to accept having a bad day or getting lost or whatever. So it's
right. Yeah, and I think you even said that in Unbreakable, like that was kind of the biggest lesson that you learned, was just kind of accepting low points or setbacks, and you know, and just learning to kind of move on from those, and you know, because it gets better usually.
Yeah.
You know. Or you can always come back and try again in Jim's case, and I would love to see that happen. In fact, just looking at all the photos of him, I think Dominic Grossman was just saying that, you know, there's no ultra shuffle in his stride. He's like literally like track stride, you know, coming through Forest Hill. He's like flying through the air. So, yeah, well, we actually do have a question here from Chris Roman. He just said, Geoff, huge respect for you all around. Your approach to everything is simple and refreshing. Any chance you'll be back at WS in the future, Western States in the future?
Gosh, no plans for that. I don't imagine I'll be back there racing anytime soon. I don't know what the future holds for me racing-wise at all. If I sort of dabble back into racing, I think it would be shorter stuff. Probably shorter, steeper mountain stuff at this point. But I certainly would not be opposed to the possibility of spending some time down at Western States on race day in the future. And who knows, I'm I'm only 40. You know, maybe I'll have a renaissance in my 50s or 60s and get back into the longer distance stuff. But right now I've been in a place where, after going through some health issues for a few years, I still struggle with being able to maintain any kind of consistent training to be able to get in shape to race. You know, I can get out and run in the mountains when I feel good, and then kind of rest hard. I think in the Drymax video, Rory said something about running hard and sleeping hard, and that's been what I've been trying to do is run hard and sleep hard, and even more so, more focus on the rest and the sleep and the recovery, just to be able to get out and enjoy running in the mountains. And
yeah,
but
I mean, yeah, you and I were talking, I guess, the other day, and you were just saying that, you know, it's hard for you to kind of put together long stretches of like consistent training, but you do have a lot of really good days, and so your running's kind of evolved more to just kind of, I guess, how it originally started, just enjoying the mountains and the good friends here. You know, you have such a good running community here. It seems like you guys have really put together an ideal spot for that.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, what you were just touching on there has been, you know, for me, some of the silver lining in some of the health stuff I've gone through is that now, I mean, I really, truly just run on feel and kind of wait till there's stretches of good weather and I'm feeling good, and I go out and do big stuff, and then if I'm not feeling well, I don't. And it's easy to sort of say that that's your plan, but if you're really feeling well and you feel like you can go out and run long weeks every single week, it's easy to overdo it quickly. And I mean, ultimately, I think that's what happened to me in leading up to 2012 and 2013, and I'm slowly readjusting and recovering from that. And I think I spent about 7 or 8 years kind of digging myself into a hole that I've dug mostly out of, but I'm very cautious about getting too far back into that. So,
and you said something interesting too the other day. You know, you just said, if I'm going to go back to racing, I want to race because that's the point of a race. But if I'm just going to go to enjoy the mountains, I can do that.
Yeah, and I mean that's just it at this point. Why I haven't really tried to jump back into racing much is I don't feel like I can train myself consistently enough to get to a level where I can go out and feel like I'm getting out of my body sort of its fullest potential. And unless I feel like I can get to that point, I'd rather just kind of go out and do cool routes just for this plain enjoyment of it. And like you were touching on, there's a great community. I'm here in Juneau. I'm lucky to have dozens of really good mountain running partners, and we just kind of get out and have a good time. And right now, that's really satisfying to me. So.
Yes. And you got married since I last spoke with you, and actually today is your third
anniversary today. Yeah. No, and so it's been good too to have just a little more time and energy to devote to family, and yeah, my wife Corlay and her 9-year-old daughter Elle.
Elle's 9 now, and she's fun and sassy and
yeah.
a little different than the 4-year-old that I met a few years back.
Yeah.
We do have another question here from Dragon Heart Vid. Hi, Geoff and JB. Respect for both of you. Geoff, do you have any good stories about wildlife encounters out running?
Well, there's a good one. Just Monday, I guess it was. I was out running. Ricky Gates was in town for the Fat Ass run that I did last week, and he and I were out on Monday with another guy, and we saw a wolf on our run, which is pretty unusual here. I've only seen that. It's the third time I've seen a wolf in Alaska, and it was way off in the distance, but we watched it run through a valley for probably 5, 6, 7 minutes, and got down, and I texted JB here and said, yeah, we saw a wolf on our run today, and he trumped us. He said, well, I went up Mount McGinnis and I saw a grizzly bear from tree line, and so.
Yeah, it was funny because we've been all, really worried about brown bears in particular going through British Columbia. Everyone was always like, oh, don't go down that trail, don't do this, there's cubs, blah, blah, blah. And so, we're not used to that. We have these black bears in Tahoe. And so I get here and Jeff's like, oh, don't worry about it. There's just some blacks. I've only seen one brown bear the entire time I've been here. And so I didn't worry about it. And then got up to about 4,000 feet right below tree line, and this huge grizzly bear. It looked like a looked like a VW bus, like running through the brush. Luckily, it was about 100 yards off, and it just wanted to get away from me, so it went the other direction. But my dog started after it, and I yelled, and it stopped, and I was super thankful because there would have been no chance of that ending up well. But yeah, this is just a different, little different environment up here.
It is, but you know, here in Juneau, and you touched on it a bit, we really have almost primarily black bears, and so it's a bit of a unique location within Alaska where you don't have a huge concern of the brown bears. But then, you know, because of that, it's easy to let your guard down. And like you said, even just being here a week, you had already probably become a little bit more comfortable than you might be in other areas. Based on my poor information. Again, in 10 years of running here, I've seen one brown bear, and you saw one your 5th day here or whatever. So,
yeah, it was my first brown bear. I'm glad it was further away than I hoped. One more question here from Joe. Joe Hess. I heard a lot of people talking about the heat at Western States this year, or any year for that matter, how heat training helped people. Can you comment on the heat? In the heat training? I mean, you don't live in a hot area, and what did you do? You didn't really do much.
You know, my approach to it is that, especially something like Western States, you just have to figure it's going to be really hot. I mean, you get the occasional year where it's not. You know, I guess 2012 was really the year where it was. I remember that day while I was here running in Juneau, it was about 85 here that day, and I think it topped out at about 70 in the Western States race. But certainly you can't plan on that. You got to plan on it being 100 degrees. But for me, I've always just taken the approach of just kind of, like, I think it's a mental game as much as anything. And I think if you just decide ahead of time that it's going to be really hot and you're not going to let it affect you mentally, and you're not going to get, you know, too worked up over the, you know, the aspects that you can control, which, you know, is sort of your mind and how you're going to respond to it. And then on the course and on race day, whether it's Western States or whatever it is, you just got to take the opportunity to cool yourself down every time you can. If it's, you know, creek crossings and river crossings and aid stations, like dunking your head in the ice coolers and dumping water over you and just doing whatever you can, because it does have a very large physiological effect on your body and how well it can function and how well it can digest. And but I think the people that struggle the most with the heat are the people that mentally get really frustrated by it, and you just got to kind of accept it because it's going to be there. It's going to happen.
Yeah, that's me. I think the heat is probably because I always say this, but the heat is my worst enemy. And yeah, Western States. It's funny. Everyone's like, the first year I ran it was 104. And everyone's like, oh, it's so hot. And then the second time I ran it, they were like, oh, it's only 95, but it didn't feel that much cooler.
Yeah, at some point.
So it's just like,
at some point, is there really a difference? You know,
I think you just gotta, yeah, like you said, just do those things to try to help yourself, and just know everyone else is going through it. And
yeah, it's like running at altitude. I mean, altitude has always been a little bit of a challenge for me. I feel like I've never quite felt like I can accept the effects of altitude as well as maybe some people, both physically and mentally. But you know, it's one of those things I always tell myself, you know, everybody out here is running at 10,000 feet, not just me. And
yeah.
So
it's interesting because these mountains out here are so big, but they, you know, in Juneau, but they all come like right from sea level. So, you know, they're topping out, well, right around here is like what, 4,000 or 5,000 feet.
Yeah, the tops of, 5,000 is about as high as you can get in a single day. So
yeah. So, you know, these mountains look like, you know, Hard Rock or, you know, Mount Blanc, but they're just much lower, so you get a lot of oxygen.
Yeah, and I think that makes it a really good spot for training, especially, if someone's looking for a training binge before a big race at altitude. I actually think would be a valuable place to come and do a couple weeks of hard training, because you can work your body a lot harder, you know, and have the same amount of depletion as you would have at 10,000 feet. You can do 30-40% more intensity and really steep, hard climbs, but not have it take so much out of you. So
yeah, and it was funny because Ricky Gates is on his way to Mountain Marathon, and he stopped here, and we got on the ferry, and Jen Shelton was on the ferry, and you know, everyone came here, and and Jen, my wife, and they all went on this run, and you know, Jen came back and her eyes were like this big, and she's like, that's real mountain running, because it's just everything straight up. And she actually did really well on the climbs, but then they got on the snow and the ice field, and she got a little nervous. And so this would be a great place for her to come practice for a UTMB or a hard rock and get those skills down. So, and what else is going on? You're still working at Rainbow on and
Yeah,
off?
cook at Rainbow Foods a little bit, and I've been teaching PE at L's School, a local K through 8 school. And I'll be doing that again this coming school year, which is kind of a fun little change of pace. I don't have any background in education or anything. I just sort of got asked to do the job because I had passion for the kids really at the school, spent a lot of time there volunteering and hanging out with the kids, and they needed someone. And then just my running camps in the summer, which I mentioned earlier, and
and the running camp's really awesome. You've had a bunch of repeat people coming back every year, and I don't know, I would recommend it. I just think running around here is really fun, and they just have such a good group of people. But he only takes 12, so get on the list.
Yeah, I've got dates just about in place for next summer. I'll be announcing those on my camp website in the next month or so here, and be doing 3 sessions next summer. So.
And I mean, you were doing like a little blog on I Run Far for a while, and you've kind of stepped away from that. Is that just to focus on other things, or are you just kind of trying to just take a breath from the ultra scene? Or
a little bit of both of those, and then I feel like I, at least in that setting, in that capacity, that I've sort of said most of what I have to say. That will probably change at some point in the future, and Brian and Megan definitely said, if you ever have one idea come up, or you ever feel like you're suddenly getting a lot of ideas you want to talk about again, let us know. We have space for you. And so you may not have seen the end of me yet on there, but it's felt nice to sort of leave that behind for a bit, though. It's been refreshing to not be constantly. I was talking to Ricky and maybe even Jen about this last week, because they both, of course, do a lot of writing, running-based writing, and it's as great as it is, and is almost too good to be true as it seems to be able to sort of get paid to write about running, because it's I love writing, I love running, and I feel like it's almost unfair that it should be a job, and I never really viewed it as a job, but it did get to the point at times where it felt like I was either constantly still sort of processing my thoughts about a previous article, or getting ready in my mind to piece together the next article, and there was never really a break from thinking about running, because I was always working on a piece to write about running. And it's been nice, a few months now away from it, to just sort of have some time to step away from all of it and really reset my mind and relax and focus on other things. And so.
Nice. And I know you mentioned like some possible shorter things in the future. You were talking about maybe going up to Mountain Marathon this weekend, actually.
Yeah, we bought our tickets. We're going up. Yeah,
sweet.
But I'm not running, of course. We're leaving Saturday night, late Saturday night. But yeah, I don't. I won't be surprised if being there on race day piques my interest in that race specifically. That would be one that would be very high up on my list of races in the future that I would think or consider to do again. And the shortness of it is appealing at this point, because I don't feel like I would necessarily need to train at such a high volume, that I could probably figure out a nice balance, a sustainable balance of training, much higher intensity but shorter, lower volume. And I think my body would handle that a lot better right now. So
yeah, I think you would do well. I mean, the terrain from the video I saw looks very similar to what you run on right around here, and maybe just short bursts of energy would be sustainable for you. That would be great. And I mean, I know that you may not go back to the ultras, but are there, if everything came back together, are there any that are on your bucket list that you would like to go do if you started feeling better?
Hard rock. That's the one. I mean, there's probably others. There's a lot of new races out there that I don't even know about. I constantly hear people mention, this or that race, and they start to describe it, and it's like, wow, that sounds pretty cool. And so having not raced in a few years or planned to, I haven't even kind of researched what's out there at this point. I know that if I were to get back into it, there's a lot of events that I would be probably really interested in, but certainly Hard Rock's the one that if I were to ever really try to run a 100-miler again, that would be the one I would want to do. And of course I'd have to do something before that to qualify, but
yeah, I guess that's the only problem. You have to go out and run another crazy 100
hard
in order
100.
just to get one ticket, and then you only have like a 2% chance of getting in. So
yeah,
maybe they'll let you in. Just give them the resume.
Yeah, I don't know. they stick to their guns.
I'll put in a good word for you. They do have a few spots available for people. So I don't know. Anything else that you have upcoming, or anything that would be interesting to the audience that hasn't really been out there in the public?
Nothing that comes to mind, no.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you've treated us really well here, and him and Corley and Elle actually came and helped us pack up our trailer when the flood was coming, and though the weather looks better right now, so I don't know. I guess that doesn't have anything to do with the weather. It's raining here, and there's a glacial lake draining. So, but yeah, it's been a really hospitable place, and it's been good hanging with you. So, thanks for hosting us here, and I would highly recommend anyone that's never been to Juneau to come try the trails out here and just experience the mountains, because these are tough trails, like straight up. But it's fun. It's really cool. And I guess that's about it. Don't seem like we have any more questions at this point, so we might just wrap it up. But thanks for joining us today on TraiLive. And again, we're just kind of doing these episodes whenever we have a good piece of content to share. We're not doing like the immediate quick press release sort of stuff. It's like if we got something that's cool to show, we're doing the live feeds now. So we will let you know when we got something else. And thanks for joining, and thanks for everyone in the chat room and asking questions. And thanks, Geoff.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's been super fun having you guys in town, and look forward to a couple more days before I head out to go to Mount Marathon. So.
Yeah, and then we're actually on a big, my family, Jen is no longer employed for the first time in 12 years, and we're going to be in Alaska most of the summer, other than a 3-week trip to Leadville, so Jen can run that. And then we are off to Transvolcania and Tarawara, possibly Mount Blanc next year. So traveling with the kids, it's real fun traveling with kids, let me tell you. Now they're having a good time, but it's challenging. And thanks again, and see you next time on TraiLive.